They say life can change in an instant. For me, it was a regular Tuesday. There was no warning, no dramatic thunderclap, no eerie silence. Just a soft knock on my front door. And the first crack in a life I thought was solid. If someone told me that while I was fighting for my life, the man I built my world around would be sneaking around with my daughter's teacher, I would have laughed. Or cried. Or both. But that's exactly what happened. And this is how I found out. Before cancer. Before betrayal. Before I ever questioned the meaning of home. I was just a woman in her late 30s, married for over a decade, raising a beautiful 9-year-old daughter named Olivia. We had routines. Mornings were a blur of cereal bowls, lost homework, and rushed kisses. My husband, Marcus, worked in IT. Quiet. Measured. Always with his head buried in a laptop. We weren't the most romantic couple anymore, but we were stable. Or so I thought. He kissed my forehead every morning. Brought me coffee on Sundays. Held Olivia's hand at parent-teacher nights. And I believed that meant something. We even had this ritual: every Friday night, Olivia and I would bake cookies. Marcus never ate them, said they were too sweet. But he'd always sneak one when he thought I wasn't looking. Looking back now, I realize I only saw what I wanted to see. It started small. I found a pink sticky note in his coat pocket. It said, "Thanks again for the extra help. You're a lifesaver. Jay." I didn't think much of it. Probably work stuff, he said. I didn't know yet that Jay was Jessica, Olivia's 4th-grade teacher. Then came the late nights. "The network's down again," he'd sigh. Or, "We've got a client in a different time zone." I didn't ask questions. I trusted him. I loved him. But soon, I started getting tired. Like bone-deep tired. My skin looked pale. My appetite vanished. I chalked it up to stress, being a mom, juggling everything. Until I collapsed in the kitchen one morning. Hospital lights are unforgiving. They strip you down, body, spirit, soul. I remember the doctor's face. The way he cleared his throat. The subtle shift in Marcus's grip on my hand. Stage 2. Aggressive. "We caught it early enough, but we'll need to start treatment immediately." Cancer. My world cracked open. Marcus was supportive. Or at least, he played the part well. He drove me to appointments. He held Olivia tighter at night. But there was something missing. His eyes. They weren't with me anymore. I chalked it up to stress, on him this time. I never once imagined it was guilt. It was Olivia's open house. I was too weak to go. So Marcus said he'd take her alone. But then, a knock at the door. It was Jessica. Smiling. Dressed a little too polished for a school night. I just wanted to drop off Olivia's writing journal. She left it in class, she said. She didn't expect me to be home. And I saw it. The flicker of panic behind her eyes. She didn't even know I had cancer. I remember thinking, why wouldn't Marcus tell her? Unless she wasn't supposed to know. She left in a hurry. And my stomach twisted. Something wasn't right. That night, while Marcus showered, I couldn't sleep. Something inside me, some old survival instinct, told me to look. I knew his passcode. His phone was on the nightstand. One message lit up the screen. From Jessica. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me forget everything else. Wish we had more time." I froze. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I kept scrolling. Photos. Hotel address. A damn receipt emailed to him. Deluxe suite, 2 guests, paid in full. While I was hooked up to IVs, vomiting from chemo. He was making love to her in a hotel room. I didn't scream. Didn't throw his phone or cry or beg. I just sat on the edge of the bed, and waited. When he came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, I asked quietly. How long have you been sleeping with Olivia's teacher? He stopped. Silent. Then. Let me explain. But I didn't want explanations. You brought her into our lives. Into our home. You let our daughter love her. And you chose her, over me. He tried to defend it. Said he was lonely. That I was always sick. That he needed connection. But I didn't care anymore. I filed for separation 2 weeks later. Not because I hated him. But because I refused to lose myself while trying to survive. I finished chemo. Alone, but stronger than ever. Olivia still asks why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. One day, I'll tell her. But for now, I just hold her close and say. Sometimes, love isn't what we think it is. But that doesn't mean we are broken. Healing isn't a straight line. But it is possible. And I am living proof of that.